Today was her birthday, and it felt appropriate that she was spending it with death. She tried to be grateful that she was out of the house, better than sitting in front of the TV, mystified that people could care about traffic or a Kardashian, rather than the only thing that mattered. Her brother Jason was dead. "Can someone find out what the exact temperature is?" she asked, without looking back at the 3 men clustered at the door. Besides Baker, a young uniformed officer, and a tall straight-back guy whose name she hadn't caught hovered at the entrance. She heard footsteps walking away and assumed the officer was looking for the answer. She waited 20 seconds and spoke again, without turning. "I'll also need a stepladder." Baker cursed, and she heard him leave. She smiled. Make the lazy bugger work. All was silent except for the soothing hum of the air conditioning. Kate jotted down a few notes. "She's so young, isn't she?" the remaining man asked. Kate stiffened. He wasn't police then. Cops knew better than to interrupt while she was doing her examination. Given his upright bearing and crew cut, she'd bet he was military. That would make sense. While she hadn't gone through the base's main gate on her drive across the fields, she wouldn't be surprised if this weird building was part of the Air Force. "Yes," she said, not turning around. "She's young." She slid off one of the woman's shoes and pressed the firm flesh of her foot. The blood pooled there, and the skin remained purple. Lividity was fixed. "Why would someone so young take her own life? Tragic." The man's voice was deep, but almost plaintive, like a child's. She scowled. "Well, bad stuff happens. Jason's plane had crashed into the jungle." Her breath caught in her throat. She put a hand on one of the metal shelves to steady herself. Even through her glove, she could feel its biting coolness. "You okay?" The man's solicitous tone nearly brought her to tears. "I'm fine," she said. "Where's that goddamn ladder?" "Not your panties, Kate. I've got one." She turned. Baker held a small ladder. The junior officer had returned as well. "It's 4 degrees Celsius, he reported. She turned back to the victim, but for a crazy moment, it was Jason, his face distended and purple, his eyes bulging. She blinked, and the image was gone. Chapter 2. "Has anyone moved the body?" Kate asked. The answer was an obvious no, but she had to ask. "According to the paramedics, she was clearly dead when they arrived. They knew not to disturb the scene," Baker responded, remaining in the hallway. "That's good," Kate said. It was always better to examine the body in situ. She climbed the ladder and continued her scan, moving her fingers over the woman's head, feeling and looking for signs of trauma. Nothing obvious. Folding back the woman's right ear, she searched to see where the rope came to a point. The coolness of the vault would slow the development of bruising. It was difficult to tell if the wounds were consistent with asphyxiation secondary to hanging. She paused to make notes. The deceased chose hanging, one of the worst ways to die. Despite the strongest death wish, the body clung to life, involuntarily thrashing against the slow denial of air. Kate had seen necks almost cut in half from the body's refusal to quit. Baker's voice broke into her thoughts. "Her name is Molly Johnson, an employee at the Dominion Archives." His voice softened. "She was 23. Baker could be a dick, but he always treated the dead with respect. Kate looked at the body again, seeing the fragility of Molly's collarbones jutting out from her t-shirt. Flushing, she was overwhelmed with anger. 23 was ridiculously young. This girl must have hated her existence. Had she felt a yawning loneliness? Wondered what the point was? Kate stepped off the ladder and turned her back on those thoughts. Baker and the 2 others stared at her expectantly, but she couldn't find any words. "Suicide, obviously."